to Vibrant Living with Nousha. I'm Nousha, a former climber of the corporate ladder turned lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I'll bring you an inspiring message to support you in designing and creating a vibrant, fulfilling life. Thank you for joining me today. Now let's get started. To Vibrant Living with Nousha. I'm Nousha. Today's topic is mental health. How to replace worry with wonder, and why is it even important to replace worry with wonder? My intention for today is to illustrate to you that worry is a waste of time and the 4 steps that can support you to liberate yourself from this process. First, I'd like to be very clear that worry is very human. And it's part of our DNA, and no matter how conscious, aware, enlightened we become, we can never eliminate worry from being human. And so, when I understood that and got that, it gave me a lot of peace that, it wasn't anything I was doing in excess. It's actually something that I can shift, and I have the power to manage. And so today we're going to talk about how we can practice shifting that. So the question becomes, we acknowledge that worry is part of our DNA, and how is it that we can shift it and decrease the time that we spend in worry? Because what differentiates the masters, the enlightened ones, and the Buddhas of the world is that they just spend less time in their worry. They still worry. However, instead of spending a day or a week or a month or a year or even years in worry about something, they are able to practice shifting it and hugely decrease the amount of time to hours, minutes, even seconds for some that are well practiced. So the key becomes practicing the process. And I'm super excited to share with you the 4 steps that I take that I intend and wish will support you as well. Now, before we talk about those 4 steps, I wanted to get some perspective on the topic of worry from a whole other generation. And I believe that our elders are filled with wisdom and that we can draw upon their experiences. And there's a really interesting gentleman by the name of Karl Pillamer, and he's a PhD and a gerontologist. And what he did is he asked himself the question of, I wonder if I could interview the oldest Americans and find out from them what is their biggest regret, or how would they have lived their life differently. And so he embarked on this journey, and he interviewed 1,200 older Americans. And he asked them, what is your biggest regret as you look back on your life? What an awesome question, right? So awesome. And it's interesting because he expected big ticket items like an affair, a shady business deal, addictions, that kind of thing. And he was very surprised and unprepared to learn that the answer that most people gave was, I wish I had not spent so much time worrying. Wow, that's phenomenal. And it's interesting because over and over he heard the same pattern with the people that he interviewed who were reflecting on their lives. And he heard versions of, I would have spent less time worrying, or I regret that I worried so much about everything. So it's really interesting because the advice is very simple and direct, that worry is actually a waste of our very precious time. So the question is, I'm sure, he took it to the next step and he asked, so what would you have done instead? And what they suggested is training yourself to reduce or eliminate worry, and that this is the most positive step you can make towards greater happiness. So this is really cool because that's the topic for today, is talking about the 4 steps that can actually train you to reduce worry. So let's talk about the 4 steps. So step number 1 is the step called awareness. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is for us to listen to our thoughts. Now, this is often easier said than done. I know for some people, some friends that I've shared these 4 steps with, they, before I shared the 4 steps, they were sharing with me that, Nousha, I've just accepted that I worry and it's something I do and I know it's not a good thing and I just don't know how to control it. And so my advice to them was always the first step is awareness. And often an indication that we're not aware is that worry has us versus us having mastery over worry. So what does that look like? Well, there's an issue that you're worrying about and you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it not just, for a few moments, 5 minutes, an hour, but you're thinking about it for a day, a week, a month, a year. For years, you've been thinking about this. This is when worry has you. And the access to being aware is to actually hear your thoughts and watch yourself in this action. So what are some ways that we can increase our awareness? Well, one of my favorite ways to do that is yoga. So yoga allows us to get connected to our body and in turn be connected to our mind and actually create a more peaceful mind. And this has helped me create more awareness and actually have the power to watch my thoughts and hear my thoughts and listening to myself, being in that cycle of worry. A second practice is meditation. Now, meditation does not have to be very complicated. You can meditate for, 5 minutes in the morning when you first get up. It's just sitting and being with yourself and being with your thoughts, just going through that practice and just observing. And that creates more awareness. And to take it to the extreme, there's some people whose lives are a living meditation. And essentially what that means is they are conscious and aware of everything, of every moment, of every choice, of every thought. And they have made it a practice as part of their lives. So the key is to do something that will help you become more aware of your body and in turn of your mind. So, there's a really awesome book, awesome author, Spirit Junkie. Her name is Gabby Bernstein, and she has some amazing exercises that you can do. This is her most recent book called The Universe Has Your Back, Transforming Fear to Faith. And I absolutely love this book. And she also provides some exercises that you can do in the realm of meditation, and she often offers meditations as well as one of her ongoing offerings. So you can find this book in the resources section on my website, NoushaBehbahanian.com. So step 1 is awareness, and step 2 is acknowledge. So what do I mean by that? I mean, acknowledge that you are worrying. And the way I do it is I imagine there's 2 tracks, 2 trains. One of the trains is the train of worry, and the other train on the other track is the track of wonder. And I imagine that when I acknowledge myself for being in the state of worry, that I'm on that train, on the train of worry. And that's all that step 2 is. It's really just recognizing that you're going down a certain path. And if we reflect back on the advice of the elders, it's a waste of time and it takes us nowhere. So I imagine that I'm on this track, it's taking me nowhere. And that brings us to step number 3, which is action. And so this is choosing to shift our perspective. And what this looks like is asking the conductor to stop that train of worry and then getting off that train and actually getting on the train of wonder. And so what does that look like in taking action? It's just being aware and shifting the perspective. And some ideas on doing that, one of the ways is a state change. You know, Anthony Robbins talks about a state change, doing something that will re-energize you and put you in a positive state. Some different ideas, one of them is yoga. You know, you can always set an intention before your yoga class to support you with the thing that you're worrying about. And always, I've done this myself, I receive something, some message, someone says something that gives me peace with regards to what's going on. Another idea is, for those of you that like writing, is writing. And I use that method often myself. And one of the things you can do is start asking yourself questions to get those juices flowing with the writing. Perhaps even to start writing about, you know, how you want to shift out of the state of worry and shift into the state of wonder. And some questions that may serve that I ask myself often are questions in the realm of, you know, I wonder how this is all working out for me. Because I've been on the track of worrying about it, thinking, oh, this is not going to work out. And shifting perspective, which is step 3, taking action to shift perspective, which would be, you know, I wonder how this is working out for me. Or I wonder how I may be getting in the way of this working out for me. And then I come up with these actions I can take to get out of the way. Or, you know, I wonder how God, source, the divine, this larger intelligence is actually working things out for my highest and greatest good, and the highest and greatest good of everyone else involved. So these questions have always supported me. And interestingly enough, when the elders were interviewed, they were also asked, you know, what some of their suggestions are, and what they suggested is to focus on understanding the thing that we're worrying about a little more. Number one, planning for it and even preparing for it. So those are some other questions we can ask, such as, you know, I wonder how I can understand this situation better, because I may just be seeing a very small part of it, and there might be something more that I'm not seeing. Or I wonder how I can plan for this so that the outcome that I want can unfold versus something that I think is going to happen. And interestingly enough, the elders said that the things that they worried about never even happened. And so that's another interesting thing to note, is that we worry and we're going down like a whole other path, and the universe, God, source, this larger energy has a different plan for us. So the question might be, you know, how can I prepare for this awesome outcome that is about to come to me? And, you know, to be fair, sometimes the outcomes are not what we desire or what we want. However, there's always something that we are given in that process. It could be a huge learning, an experience that will have us see something like we haven't seen it before. So that's step number 3, is taking action. Step number 4 is anchor, creating an anchor. So what does that mean? Well, as I mentioned, this whole process of going into the train of worry happens as part of being human. And it's our work to intercept that. And one of the ways is to create an anchor. After you've taken the actions, you've shifted your mindset, you want to create an anchor that will bring you back to those things that you just thought about. So an example of that I used actually this morning is I woke up in a state of worry about something, and then I used my 4-step process. And the 4th step is I created an anchor with 4 words that will anchor me in what it is that I want to create. And the words were peace, productivity, ease, and grace. And so as soon as I would go back into that space of worry, I would remind myself of these 4 words. And what was exciting is that these words actually inspired me to take actions in a whole other direction. So that's one way to do it. Another way is, you know, to create a fun song. I know in the past I've done that. I had this saying It's like, I'm able, capable, powerful, able, capable, powerful, So I would sing this song to myself, and this was part of like a really large project that I was working on with some friends, and we actually sang this song together and inspired each other and reminded ourselves of who we are and what's possible. So again, we created an anchor in that way. So get creative. There's various ways you can create anchors, and don't forget that you're not in this alone. If you want some creativity, support, and with all this, please join our Facebook group, Our Vibrant Living Community, and we'd be more than happy to support you in finding some cool creative things you can do to create an anchor as well. So these are the 4 steps, and I considered calling it the 5 steps, but it is actually 4 steps. The 5th step is just as important, and that is to repeat steps 1 to 4, because as we mentioned at the beginning, and as we all know, worrying is part of the experience of being human. It's part of our DNA, and our work is to practice to decrease the time between something happening, us worrying about it, and recognizing that we're on the space of worry and shifting it as quickly as possible to a space of wonder. So that's our practice, and my intention is that these 4 steps have been helpful, have made a difference for you, that you will apply them, that you'll let us know how it's going by connecting with us on Facebook at Our Vibrant Living Community. And I shared one book. I actually have 2 other books to share that have really supported me in this process. And one of them is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And this has been really an amazing book in terms of really getting present to the importance of the present. And, you know, as one of the elderly so beautifully said, they said, you know, when we worry, it poisons our present. And it's so true. When we worry, we're either in the past or we're in the future, and we're not present. And in fact, what it does is it just poisons our present, and it just keeps us still, not even moving forward. So really awesome book. And then another book that's wonderful that I've mentioned before is Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And what I love about this book is it actually has about 22 different processes and exercises that we can do related to different areas that we could be caught in worry. So money, relationships, our health, all these different areas and specific processes to support you in shifting your energy from the state of worry and moving up to a state of wonder or joy or love, peace, gratitude. So really love these books, and you can find them on my website, NoushaBehbahanian.com. Just go under the resources section and they're all there for your convenience. And for those of you that haven't had a chance to do this yet, you are invited to download a free gift that I have for you, and it's the 7-step checklist to designing your vibrant, fulfilling life. So enjoy that. And it's been a pleasure to be here with you today to share some of my experiences. I'd love to hear your experiences. You can meet us online at Our Vibrant Living Community. And until next time, be vibrant, be bright. It's your birthright. Now let's go out there and shine our light. Thank you for investing this time with me on the Vibrant Living with Nousha podcast. I'm so glad that you joined our conversation. If you would take 2 minutes to positively impact someone's life by sharing this episode, that would be wonderful. Please leave us a review by visiting iTunes. Let us know what you enjoy and what you'd like to see more of. It will support us on our journey to causing a worldwide epidemic of vibrant living. Until next time, be vibrant, be bright. It's your birthright. Now, let's go out there and shine our light.